Hello, my name is Lindsay and I'm the youth librarian at the headquarters branch of the St. Louis County Library. And today I'm going to show you how to make your very own bouncy ball out of some common household materials. So the ball we're going to make has that nice rubbery kind of putty feel, just like a regular bouncy ball. It won't bounce quite as high, but it will bounce pretty far. So that's what we're going to be making today. So to make your own bouncy ball, you'll need some borax. You can find this in the laundry aisle. You'll need half a cup of warm water. You'll need some cornstarch, some regular school glue, 2 bowls to do our mixing, some measuring spoons, mainly your half cup of water, and then some tablespoons. Something to stir with, so I'm going to use some big popsicle sticks, but forks or spoons will also work as well. And finally, this project can get a little messy, so I'd recommend covering your table or using a tray like I'm doing, and you'll probably also want some paper towels for your hands when you're done. So to make your bouncy ball, very first thing you're going to do is you're going to take 1 tablespoon of borax and put it into one of your bowls. One tablespoon of borax. And then to that, you're going to add your half a cup of warm water. And then you want to stir that really well. It should make some kind of whitish, cloudy water. You want to stir until you don't feel it really grainy anymore, until it feels like it's nice and kind of melted mixed in. So there you go, you got some kind of milky water, it looks like. So we'll do that in your one bowl. And then in your other bowl, you'll want to take 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And this stuff is pretty powdery and messy, so fair warning. 1 tablespoon of your cornstarch. And 2 tablespoons of glue. So I'm gonna uncap this and just kind of pour it in. One. Probably want to do heaping tablespoons because some of it will obviously stick in your measuring spoon. 2. Scoop it all out of there. And then you're going to want to mix that up really well. Until it makes a nice kind of paste. I know it's a little hard to see in my bowl, but it almost will have the consistency of like a toothpaste. And then if you want a colored bouncy ball, you can also add a few drops of liquid food coloring. So I'm going to make a nice green bowl, and again, stir that all up till it colors your whole glue and cornstarch mixture. So there, I have some nice green goo. All right, here's where it starts to get a little bit messy. So you're now going to take that glue mixture and you're going to scrape it out and pour it into your borax water. We're going to scoop that big blob. Oh, here it comes. And then we're going to let that sit in our borax water for about 10 to 15 seconds. And what you'll see is it starts to really clump together and harden up. And that will be our bouncy ball forming there. So get out of that as much as you can. Like I said, let this sit for about 10 to 15 seconds. So you can see it's, since I made it green, it kind of looks like a nice ball of snot. So let it sit for a few seconds, and here's where we get to our really messy part. Once you see it's kind of formed a nice glob, then you can take it out of your water and start to form it into a ball. So roll it around nice and well until you get a nice ball, and keep rolling it. And you want to roll it until it starts to kind of dry out a little bit. That's what's going to form really our bouncy ball, because you see right now it's a little too soft and loose. So we have to work with it a little bit. So I'm going to let that sit for just a few minutes and dry out a little bit, and we'll come back and see our bouncy ball that we made. All right, I'm back to finish up our bouncy ball. So once you've let that dry out a little bit, you can roll it around, really roll it around in your hands to make that nice ball shape. If it's still a little bit too sticky, you can always dip it back in your borax water to get rid of some of that stickiness. But once it's dried out, now you have a nice rubbery ball that bounces like a bouncy ball. So how does that work? Well, what happened is the glue and the borax interacted together and caused the polymers, or these long molecules in the glue. So everything is made up of molecules. They're kind of, you can think of them like chain links. So it caused the long polymers in the glue to kind of stretch and form together, become rubbery. So another way you can think about this is, if you think about if you make spaghetti, if you continue to stir that spaghetti around, it won't stick, because when those long chains of spaghetti, just like our long polymers, when they're in motion and can constantly glide over each other, they don't stick. But think about, I bet you or an adult has maybe left the spaghetti sit for too long, and you know what happens to that spaghetti? Yeah, it becomes one big spaghetti ball. That's because they weren't able to glide over each other. They weren't in motion. They didn't stay in one line to glide over. So they globbed into one glob. And that's kind of what happened to form our ball. The borax and the glue mixed together to make those polymers stick. So you get this nice rubbery surface. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this. You can keep your bouncy ball for probably a few days in an airtight container. And I would also recommend maybe putting a little bit of your leftover borax juice in there with it, just to keep it from drying out. But you can keep that for several days in a container and have fun throwing it around.